Thank you very much, Frankie. I'm Medic, this is Dagda, and we are here for the first 2 games of the day. I've never really thought about duo name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because the problem is that usually you take a duo name and you add the first part of one person's name and the second part of another person's name. And with Medic, specifically, you can only take the first part. Because if you take the second part, it kind of struggles, right? So we have to be Meda.
Okay.
Dagda, Meda.
Meda.
Meda?
Yeah. It just sounds like you're saying meta, though.
Yeah, it does. But maybe we'll redefine the meta in this draft phase as EXCEL take on Team BDS. We'll work on it. It's fine. Will we hear the chant that has rung around these halls every day? Yes, we will.
There it is. Immediately.
A veritable choir here. I've been in Catholic churches with less resounding singing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been about as off-key as this is, though, for a lot of the ones that I've been to, but, I mean, it's still the same, and we're hoping for that miracle to come through where the EME does get banned. At the moment, though, it is being let through.
No, it's not.
Never mind, there it is.
Let's go.
Very happy to see that one gone. It is a city champion alongside that Zeri, but still curious to see exactly what the game plan is going to be here. We still have things like the Ahri, the Annie that are still up in contention, even things like the LeBlanc, which is real silly with that static shiv. So I think it is a question mark of kind of how comfortable you feel coming into some of these more static shiv oriented champions.
I do think, though, that BDS were able to deal with the LeBlanc a little bit relatively well yesterday with the Syndra pick into it. So perhaps EXCEL deciding not to go for that LeBlanc static shiv as a first pick. Instead, the Maokai lock for them. BDS have only won when they've had Zeri Lulu in the bottom lane so far this split, and now they're not going to get their hands on the Zeri. So we'll see where they go in terms of AD carries. Obviously, Aphelios still open.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for BDS is about trying to find that comfort. It feels like a lot of their mistakes have been where they end up just tossed, like some kind of silly trade that they go for on bot side, or maybe someone takes a wrong path and all starts to fall apart so they can't get to that late game plan. So we'll have to see if they're going to get that. At the moment, though, the Aphelios taken away. I don't think we'll see the Lee Sin. I imagine that we'll probably end up going back towards something like the Sejuani and just try and answer for any time that Maokai goes in with the ultimate. You just stick Sejuani in front of it and make things a lot easier.
Just gives you another tank as well for the initiation later on. EXCEL now likely to look down towards that bottom lane. Xayah Rakan still an option for them and would work well with the Maokai follow-up engage, obviously something that Rakan thrives on. And Patrik very comfortable on the Xayah as well. EXCEL did pick up their first win of the split yesterday. On their way, perhaps, to getting towards their spring split record of 2 wins. Maybe they can even make it past that all the way to 3. It was actually only 3 wins got you into our group stage last split. So if you can get to that position, you are in with at least a shot of making it to group stage.
They do have to hit 3rd, though, if they want to try and make it to our season championship at the end of the year, though. So it definitely is a long-fought battle for them to get there. Azir going to be taken, though. I actually thought they would get the Rakan coming through, because I think the big adaptation we saw from yesterday was Peach being a little bit more active, but also working with Limit in a lot of situations, and even working with Abbedagge on the Azir to try and make things happen. So maybe they're trying to find that spark of magic here again. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case. As on the upside, Lulu is a no-brainer here. Aphelios Lulu is just such a strong combo in these team fights.
And Maokai not the most fun to play into the Lulu either. You can get stopped by the Wild Growth, you can get stopped by the Polymorph. There's just too many tools in the Lulu's arsenal to stop those engages. So EXCEL will look towards their support and their top lane on their second rotation. BDS going towards mid and top. Let's look at these second phase of bans. I wouldn't be surprised if EXCEL try and narrow down Adam's pool a little bit. Things like the Olaf, the Darius, obviously still options for him. Cassante as well, still let through the draft so far.
Yeah, and I think trying to get rid of those tanks in the top side is probably your better option here, just because you look at like the Sions, the Cassantes. This is a team fight that wants to try and set up for this Aphelios, so trying to make sure that you can keep that in check. I feel like it's going to be the main protocol here for EXCEL, but they're going to go towards the Olaf. Maybe they're considering something like the Darius as well, but I think you've actually got enough range on EXCEL at the moment that Darius isn't really that big of a threat, so I think Cassante should be your next ban.
And enough CC as well. The Darius can't really get onto your backline if you have the Emperor's Divide, if you have the Maokai in front of him, if you have the Roots, so I understand the Olaf is good in certain top lane matchups, and because you're likely going to have to blind pick top here, it becomes a little bit trickier for EXCEL to predict what is going to go up towards that top lane. There's the Olaf ban. Gnar and Rakan away by Team BDS. They'll be looking at their mid laner on 4. into the Azir.
So this is where, though, you end up with two of those big picks left open. You can either go for the Ahri, or you can go for the K'Sante. And I have a feeling with the way that Nuke has been playing, he's probably happy enough to go back towards the Syndra. Like we saw, he looked way more comfortable in that. So I think they will go for the K'Sante and kind of just let themselves go, right, we're going to make sure that we have this strong pick and not really worry about it, since we already know Azir's on the opposite side.
That makes sense. The K'Sante is locked in. Of course, we have seen K'Sante mid around the world as well. Could be something that Nuke would bring out, but as you expect, and as I expect, that K'Sante likely to go up towards the top lane. LeBlanc worked her way all the way through the draft so far, alongside that Ahri, as you were mentioning. Nautilus, the likely lock here for EXCEL, gives you some good engage. There's not too much disengage from BDS. You've got the Wild Growth, you've got the Polymorph, but they don't have, something like an Emperor's Divide or a Grasping Roots from the Maokai to really stop you from being able to get onto their backline.
I will say, though, this combo with the Nautilus yesterday was why EXCEL kind of looked so good. It was Peach on the Maokai, working in conjunction with the Nautilus, trying to establish vision, even having Abbedagge go for some of these sweep and boops with the Azir as well to set up for that follow-up. So I like what EXCEL are bringing to the table. I mean, strong team fighting, great setup when you come towards the jungle support that can work together, and Abbedagge, if he has the same performance he did yesterday in Azir, should be in a good spot, especially when you look at BDS. This is a team that definitely wants you to try and play into them, which things like Nautilus and Sion definitely do, but the Azir, the Xayah, like, you should actually be relatively okay to try and avoid a lot of what BDS are bringing to the table.
Because Cassiopeia is the final lock here for Nuke. It's something we've seen him on a few times across the course of his career. He's actually only lost 1 of 7 games on it, so very comfortable on the champion. And in this sort of position, when you have a few people, a few frontline tanks, you can stack up that Conqueror pretty easily. You can put a lot of damage down. The question really is, can you then translate that onto damage on the backline, or are you just going to be worked through by this Xayah and Azir combination?
Yeah, I think it's a case of how aggressive can you position the Cassiopeia as well? Because if you end up with like the Twisted Advance coming through from the Maokai, or even the ultimate coming through, can make things very difficult. Azir has a good amount of range there. Xayah should be relatively safe as well, although like Miasma can mess with her going up for the Featherstorm and that. But honestly, I think at the moment, if I'm looking at both these sides, as long as EXCEL are able to get off to a decent start, playing around the push that they should have, or sorry, the early dragon control that they should have on bot side with the Xayah, and just how much damage you can bring in the early stages, I think they're in a good spot.
It's been a while since Patrik has been Sheriff, but people calling for him to come back, and all of us are being proud as we get into the first game of the day. EXCEL versus BDS up next. So let's get into it. Let's get down and dirty on the Rift as EXCEL take on BDS. EXCEL picked up their first win of the split yesterday. BDS managed to lock in their second. And for EXCEL, a lot of the weight of that win came in the hands of their top laner. It was Odoamne on the K'Sante who had a stellar performance and really showed just how powerful he can be. Now he's playing up against the K'Sante for Adam. Expect this to be really handbags as a matchup, right? No one's going to be doing too much damage to anyone, but we'll see how much these top laners can influence the rest of the map after that 10-minute mark when the teleports become unleashed.
I think it's also a case of like how well you can try and set up with Odoamne for a lot of these skirmishes, and kind of also looking at what you want to do when you start to hit that level 6, because a lot of the things that we started to see that had kind of creeped out of the meta for like running down level 6 into that bot side, see if you can catch people off. There's still opportunities to try and make plays with Sion that I think teams will start to bring through. It's a little bit cheesy, but you can definitely go for it. And then trying to lean that in towards Dragon, I think is the best way for EXCEL, because your early skirmishing with the Maokai, the Nautilus, the Xayah, I mean, even the Azir as well, post 6 is going to be massive.
Peach there, landing the smite, steals away the Razor Beaks, hits 2. Sheo lost out on that smite fight and will have to start his red buff unaided. In fact, going around to the Krug, so it's one camp to the good for the EXCEL jungler.
I think this is something that we've seen a lot of teams start to adapt to. Even Koi as well, when Powerang was doing this a lot, was just getting in the face of Sheo and making sure that he can't have that same impact. Because one of the big praises that we had for Sheo both in winter and spring was, hey, I'm going to be able to play around my teams and my lanes incredibly well, make sure that he can win through these aggressive matchups. And oftentimes he'd kind of forego his own CS to make that happen. But when he's been set behind so early, he's kind of forced to try and play catch up by going for these camps, and it leaves his lanes that little bit more vulnerable.
Jungler very good at tracking the enemy jungler, making sure that they can't get their early ganks off. Sheo Krugs into red. Peach going enemy Razorbeaks into his own Razorbeaks to make sure they can't be stolen away, into his bottom side because he knows Sheo is going to be pathing towards the bottom side, so that's where the counter-invade would have been possible for the BDS jungler.
It also means with pushing mid, he should be able to work in towards the Scuttlecrab on bot side, deny that away from Sheo as well, and just kind of be a bit more of a nuisance where he's constantly keeping Sheo in check. Even when you look towards top side, Adam has push, so ideally that's where Sheo wants to be, but shouldn't really be able to contest this too much. Maybe he's got Crownie and Labrov who can help him, but this wave should bounce here and actually set up Limit and Patrik where they're in a bit of a better spot to maybe look for that Scuttlecrab trade.
Limit and Patrik struggling a little bit in terms of CS, down almost a full wave as we see the wave going towards their tower. Now Sheo goes for that invade we were talking about, but he'll spot that the Razorbeaks have already been taken. Knows that Peach has come down towards this bottom side. Could look for that mid gank. You can see a couple of pings coming out as Abbedagge a little bit overextended, gets knocked up and dashes away. The safety of Azir coming to fruition there.
You don't like using that combo early though, because it's so draining on your mana pool. You can see Abbedagge now not really having a huge amount. It means that there's not really any sort of threat here for BDS and bot side, but also means that Nuke can start to play that a little bit more aggressive in the mid lane as well, as he's just got the higher mana pool. So this is going to give actually a good amount of control towards Nuke, as Peach was going to move back up towards that top side and get the own Scuttlecrab for himself as well.
Adam has the Q3, lands on Odo. Odo can charge the Decimating Smash, but a good dash away from Adam gets him to safety. Peach takes the top side Scuttlecrab and now is working his way up towards that top lane, and Adam realizes that, places down a ward. Peach, oh man, he's so hungry, you know? You get a bargain bucket, you want a second one, you get a zinger meal, you want a little bit of extra, getting as much of these chickens as he can right now.
I like how he's called Peach and you immediately went for fried chicken instead of fruit.
It's the Razorbeaks.
Oh, fair. Okay, I was thinking it's like his name's Peach, I want fruit, and like try and be healthy.
No, because then that's cannibalism, man.
I mean, if it's a non-Peach variety.
If your name was Human Man,
hey, look,
I wouldn't expect you
doesn't
to
really
eat other
matter.
humans,
Look,
Rob.
We're on the apples because he's going for Adam, all right? He wants to try and make this play in the top side, but I don't know if it's going to work out. Sheo's actually in a good spot here.
It's actually quite fitting that Adam has a snake on his team. That's, isn't it? Didn't realize how biblical we were getting with this cast, but we'll see how far we can go.
And Noah's going to play later. Like, it's all coming through, you know?
For the moment, though, not too much happening. We've seen the junglers kind of butting heads a little bit, working out where the enemy's pathing, but overall, across the map, honors even pretty much. Adam is forced back behind his tower. Odoamne puts the ward in the tribush to spot out if Sheo is doing anything naughty. His Limit has worked his way up towards this top side, keeping control in that top side jungle for EXCEL. Nuke knows that he's there, though, and so can just slowly farm up this wave. May call for help because the wave is slowly pushing out. But Limit now backs away and won't be too much of a threat to the BDS mid laner.
Yeah, just nice timing as well. Patrik had gone for a reset. Labrov nearly managed to get the cancel on Patrik's reset there, which actually could have been a bit of a disaster, but now Crownie coming back into lane and Limit. This wave actually is in a bit of a dangerous spot. You can see Crownie now wants the ward, but Limit won't be able to get in there in time to try and get onto Crownie as Patrik is coming back to lane. But at the moment, it's a pretty easy game. The biggest thing that I want to try and see here for EXCEL is how they can try and disrupt the dragon stacking for BDS, because it's been such a strong win condition for BDS. Even though some of their games have gone a bit sideways in the early stages, that has still remained true, and looks like at least BDS still want to try and make that a factor here as well.
Yeah, they have struggled a little bit in this split, at least in the 4 games that they've played, to maintain that control as much as they'd like, but they're still above average in terms of Drakes and don't really look up towards that Herald. Right now, they're just getting the push in this bottom lane and can turn their eyes towards the dragon. Sheo was started up. Peach is coming across, though. Not quite yet level 6. You can actually see the XP bar that I highlight every time we chat. That little pink bar shows you how close Peach is towards that level 6, and Sheo being a level behind, we'll just back away. Look at that CS discrepancy in the jungle right now, Rob.
Also, one of the big things, sorry, for the
It's not that boring, guys. Come on. We're 6 minutes in. You don't need to start cheering for pink wards.
Oh, Crownie.
Flash forward, there's the route from Limit. Seems like EXCEL heard the crowd. They wanted a little bit more action. Sheo working his way down here as well. Crownie down to about 150 HP. For the moment, that just means that EXCEL will gain control over the dragon.
Yeah, Patrik ended up actually pulling the feathers back a little bit early. If he'd waited for Limit's auto attack, I think that would have been a dead Crownie. But either way, EXCEL managed to get control over bot side, and they move in to secure the dragon. It was a bit of a weird timing from BDS. Like, Nuke had already given up wave prio in mid lane to try and come down for that play on bot side. So EXCEL were in a position to counteract. Weird timing for Sheo to try and start that one up.
And because of it, EXCEL make the aggressive play in the bottom lane, then manage to take away the dragon. Limit here looking for Labrov. Flash available, but there's the TP immediately. Labrov Rooted for the second counter route coming out as Patrik looks for the damage. Limit's going to fall. Labrov going to survive, and Adam goes all out onto Patrik. Patrik still has the flash, but dashes into the wall. It's a double for Adam as he TPs to save his support.
The greatest polymorph ever from Labrov. Can't get the feather pull from Patrik, and it means that it sets up beautifully for those kills to come through. But we'll get to catch it here, so nice job from Limit. I actually think this is a good call, as Labrov was trying to freeze the wave there for his AD carry to come back. But watch this. So Limit ends up coming through, but Labrov just about gets the polymorph off as these feathers come out. So the damage can't come through fast enough. Limit's now stuck underneath the tower tanking as well. And then Adam comes in at the perfect time as Labrov flashes away to pick up the double.
That's huge on Kazanze. Patrik failing his flash obviously helps Adam just a little bit as well. Gets him the double. First 2 kills of the game going over to him. It did give Odoamne a little bit of time with that top lane towers. Limit Hex flashes forward. There's the VoD on Crownie. No summoners on him. A good turret will stop Limit from landing the hook, but Abbedagge is here to help out. Slides him back into the team, and Crownie falls. First kill of the game over for EXCEL.
Good answer back from EXCEL, because you're starting to get a little bit worried with both those kills going over. Sheo is going to respond though by going up towards this top side. He knows that Adam has already got a little bit of an advantage for himself, so he's going to start to push in. So at the moment, EXCEL at least getting something back in the spot lane. Will get a turret plate as well, but it's still fairly close at this stage. I mean, less than 100 gold between the two teams.
See the plate in the top lane and the plate in the bottom lane there for EXCEL, meaning that they are able to even out some of that gold difference. Adam with the most gold in the game, but Crownie 400, 500 gold behind his lane opponent. Does have that cull, 33 minions left on it as he started with it, so that will be a bit of a gold infusion for him, but right now it's looking more like normal Salem than anything special like Hartman's for that infusion. You know, doesn't have that extra kick that you'd like to revive a patient. That was probably a bit too technical a medical joke for anyone, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there are at least 3 or 4 medical students that are giggling.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh, Hartman's solution. Yeah, he said the thing.
Whereas the other 300 to 400 people are now Googling what Hartman's solution is.
But Hartman's solution is the surgical cure-all, okay?
Okay.
If you're ever a surgeon...
Oh, so it's like flat 7-Up.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay, yeah.
If you can't be bothered to work out what a patient actually needs, you just say, oh, just give him Hartman's. It's fine. That will fix it, you know? And then you get the intensivists in to actually do it properly.
Like as a doctor, you should figure out what's wrong with your patients.
And you know what's wrong with them. They've got a broken bone. You don't care about those silly electrolyte imbalances. You know? Fix the bone. C-bone, that problem. Fix. I loved orthopedics. It was great. It's just carpentry. For the moment, though, BDS trying to crack open this game. As they look to see perhaps where this Rift Herald can go down. Seems like they want to put it into Crownie, give him that little bit of extra gold to get him towards his first item, because Kraken Slayer already complete for Patrik, puts him in a very strong spot. Labrov able to dodge away from Limit there. Peach coming in as well to bolster the defenses of his bot lane.
Still though, I like that what we're seeing out of EXCEL, right? Still trying to play around this bottom side. We talked about how Peach and Limit were trying to link up yesterday. Peach hasn't been as involved, as you can see, with no assist at the moment, but he's still trying to get down to this bot lane and working with EXCEL, playing towards the strengths. And especially since you have this Xayah on the bottom side and the setup that from Nautilus, it makes sense. You can try and look for these dives. Even might go for one before that top side.
There's no way Odo dies here. He's a Sion. Yep.
I'm looking at bot side though. Abbedagge and Peach considering going in. Peach with the long range ultimate here, but
that's a weird ultimate. Is that just me? That seems like a very odd, like, because Abbedagge was already leaving, and then Peach just chucks it out. Maybe they were thinking if we ult here, we can get the tower plate, and it could be that they're just looking for that next plate. Decimating Smash hits the edge there. No charge for Odoamne though, means that he won't be able to get in. Abbedagge now wailing on this mid lane tower, and Nuka's been a little bit neutralized by this Azir in the early game. We did see him try and make that play down towards the bottom lane, but really wasn't able to be too efficient, or effective, I guess, with it. And Labrov and Sheo once again teaming up, trying to get into the enemy jungle, but no dice for them, nothing here for them to claim. Limit comes to defend his jungler's recall.
It is just about getting vision though, because the second they see that Maokai ultimate going down, they're like, hell yeah, dragons in 30 seconds. Cool, we get vision for this. We have Rift Herald, we're going to reset, get back onto the map, put Rift Herald into mid, get the priority that we need to, and immediately shift across. And without that big team fight ultimate for Peach, but there's just not really much that's on the map now that EXCEL can really contest. Even if you try and go into bot side, there's a lot of opportunities for BDS to actually just take mid lane turn instead, lean that pressure down to the bot side, maybe catch people as they're overextended. So really weird passage of play from EXCEL where you lose out now until Peach's ultimate is back up.
Let's see what he decides to do around this dragon, because you can see BDS working their way towards it. Crownie's base being stopped means that he's sitting on about 1.4k that he hasn't been able to spend. Sheo, though, is going to get locked up, pulled back, the twisted advance, and it doesn't even matter that they don't have the Maokai Odoamne because once again they find the enemy jungler.
Great pick from EXCEL. The Sheo, I think he just needed to move into mid, use that Rift Tower while it was up and available, and then once you have that control of mid, you can then drift across into this bot side, but trying to kind of skip a few steps there just ends up giving EXCEL the moment for that opportunity.
And he's going to have to use the Rift Tower basically as soon as he spawns here as well. We'll path slightly towards, looks like the mid lane, but he needs to put that down, otherwise it's timing out. There we go. I think he just placed it before the timing out happened. The dragon goes over to EXCEL, and now they are 2 Drakes to the good, and it's an ocean soul for them as well. Something so powerful when you have these consistent DPS players like the Azir and the Xayah.
And especially when they're the ones that are going to be coming in towards that late game, you're in a great spot. Should be able to move limit up towards this mid lane as well. Labrov en route to this mid lane. 3 members trying to make sure that this Rift Herald doesn't get the charge.
Twisted advance to try and dodge away, flash away as well, and the Rift Herald will not charge in. Peach did have to burn his flash to escape a bit of a sticky situation, but BDS basically lost everything over the last few moments. EXCEL did a great job of catching out Sheo, taking the dragon, making sure they didn't get plates from the Rift Herald, and even though the gold is even, EXCEL very much in the ascendancy.
Yeah, and especially the fact that they're managing to get this kind of control around Abbedagge is fantastic. I think Abbedagge, and even, honestly Caps we saw to a certain extent as well, much more playmaking coming out of Azir than we used to see when you think of like old Azir and Corki metas, but the fact that you actually have this swoop and boop, you can start to move around, you can start to look for picks, like they've actually been playing around this mid lane incredibly well, and now EXCEL having a good amount of control over this game. The gold may not reflect it, but Patrik is in a really strong spot. You've got first item complete onto Abbedagge. With Rift Herald now in 45 seconds time, you get push on pot, start to rotate people up towards that top side. It becomes very easy now to push this game forward as EXCEL.
I think the big thing is, we saw Adam get 2 kills for BDS, and then he's only been top for the rest of the game, right? He's 1,000 gold ahead. You can basically take that out of any bot side calculation. So in all honesty, EXCEL are about 1,000 gold ahead whenever they fight in that 4v4. Now, what happens around the next Drake fight is decisive in this game. If BDS are able to get it, they can then try and scale a little bit more, try and get more gold into their carries. But if EXCEL take that one, BDS are on a hell of a clock.
Patrik should be able to step away, but it's also even more gold that you are behind because Nuke opt in towards the Roa, so you're actually taking time to really stack that up as well. So from a cost efficiency standpoint, you're not quite there yet. So at these fights that are up and coming, like mid lane is stronger for EXCEL, your bot lane is in a reasonably good spot, but Limit bringing in a lot of that CC that's going to make it difficult. Adam just trying to solo out the Rift Herald at the moment as he's got a bit of an opportunity, and Sheo is going to come up. So actually a nice call from Adam to start this one up because you can see I think EXCEL definitely want to try and at least either commit for that or maybe they just think, hey, look, we don't really have position for this. We're just going to take bot tower instead.
It looks like it is just going to be a full tower for EXCEL. Can give the local gold to Patrik as well. Continue to accelerate him in terms of AD carries. Kraken complete already. Has the BF and a crit cloak as well. An extra 400 gold. He is in a prime position to carry this game from here. Alongside Abbedagge, of course, on the Azir. His most played is the Azir for Abbedagge. It's like about a 60% win rate. Oh, 53% win rate on it all time. And I still remember, you know, in his Schalke days, his Shurimus shuffles, something that he was very well known for at the time. And maybe EXCEL trying to revive those days. You know, the Miracle Run, it's always a possibility. We don't mention it much. But from 0-3 to... it doesn't really matter because you just get into group stage if you make top 8. So you only have to win like 2 games.
Well, to be too fair, like we have 4 teams that are on 1 and 3. Thank you. You can see it at the moment. Sorry, 5 teams that are on 1 and 3 at the moment. So this win would actually set them up to match BDS.
Decimating Smash is going to come out here. Nuke tries to flash away, still locked up. The TP coming in. Adam joins the fray. Depth charge. It's only chasing onto Adam. He doesn't really care too much about that. And in the end, Sheo and Labrov were just around the corner waiting to back this up. TP towards the bot lane for Odoamne as he catches that wave. EXCEL doing a good job of making sure no waves really crash against any towers, making sure they're picking up all the gold on the map.
And also just trying to match wherever BDS are going to put pressure so then they can have the Rift Herald and try and stop that once more. That's why we're seeing a lot of pressure topside, but now EXCEL kind of caught out in river here.
How caught out are you? If it's a Lulu, just like beep, 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 beep,
well, the problem is it gives you control over here, and then
true.
I was a bit worried that they'd actually just immediately go up towards topside, so... But they'll be all right. Yeah, the pew pew is kind of the most of your worries at least at the moment.
There was an LPL AD carry who just had flashbacks. Was it of an Akali? And it was just like, Akali wasn't even in the game. He's like, watch out, Akali's flanking, Akali's flanking. It's a copy paste to somewhere. But I can't remember which AD carry it was. I feel like that's you with Lulu. It's like, oh, watch out! You have one bad game against Lulu. It's like, no, she's hitting me in the face. Please, I think it might be Gala who has a Kali flashback in the game once. But
I was gonna say with like 17 teams, with like a lot of them even running substitutes, it's like you're gonna have to like limit the amount of AD carries there.
It's true. That is true. At the moment, though, looks like both teams want to play around this mid lane. Nuke TPing in as well to try and escort this way forward. 20 seconds on the Drake is the real priority here, but for the moment, it's just setting up around the mid lane. EXCEL have control of the river. They have the ward line as well, and BDS put the Rift Tower down mid, but even off a single charge, that's not going to kill the tower. So the question is, how much does EXCEL want to invest into defending here? Peach can still hold the line. BDS will use the Rift Tower to start to make a few pokes and prods into that river line. Peach, of course, can put the saplings down, and those do quite a bit of damage, especially when they hit onto squishy members like Labrov, the slow as well. Almost puts Labrov in a bad situation. Odoamne has the unstoppable onslaught as well, and with Nuke pathing up towards the top side, BDS may just be giving up this third Drake.
Yeah, I think BDS needs to position more aggressively there on the Rift Tower charge to prevent EXCEL from re-entering, so then you can actually trade for mid, get a little bit of vision, and then make something of this. But because they end up not committing enough for mid tower, and they don't really commit for the river off the Rift Tower charge either, now they're just in a position where it's 3 dragons now over to EXCEL and maybe more.
Peach training onto Adam here. Limit with a good hook. The root comes out as well, and Limit takes the kill. Adam falls. Limit gets a little bit of extra gold from the bounty, and EXCEL now pushing in for this tier 2. Nuke, no TP. Remember, he used it to the mid lane tower to try, or to the mid lane minion wave to try and defend the Glacial Prison coming out from Sheo, but it's not going to do too much work on these minions. That's going to be another tier 2 unstoppable onslaught used by Odoamne to defend the tier 1 in the top lane. EXCEL have yet to lose a tower and have yet to lose a Drake this game. Very clean stuff from the 1 and 3 team.
I mean, the fact that the Rift Tower doesn't even get anything in mid as well, like, you still have all your outer towers up. EXCEL are in a fantastic spot right now, and they're only going to start to get stronger, right? You've Nabori Quick Blades now picked up for the Xayah. You've nearly got that Void Staff coming through from Abbedagge as well. Like, they're going to be in such a commanding position as they start to move forward. You just have to try and push out this bot side, move that in towards the, well, what was your tier 2, and then you can have Abbedagge start to move in. He can look for some sort of play in behind the turret if he can get that sweep in. And also then you're setting up alongside like Peach with his ultimate, Limit with the ultimate as well. There's so much pressure on Crownie when he tries to defend mid turret.
We'll see what he's able to do, because for the moment EXCEL are just walking BDS all over the map. There's one ward placed around where EXCEL's blue buff is that BDS might look for a flank position with, but be pretty tricky for them to find this. Adam does have the TP. Maybe if EXCEL overextend in that top lane push, they might get caught out. You can see Abbedagge now working his way up towards the top lane as well. It's a very obvious 4-1 split from EXCEL. They don't really play the third lane until they have to. They keep Odoamne in range to join the fight, and the rest of EXCEL work their way up towards the top lane. Adam starting to wail away on the bot lane tower, should be able to secure that, and does have the TP if he needs to join.
Yeah, and I think that's where EXCEL are kind of struggling a little bit here. They're a bit slow off the reset to get into position, especially with Abbedagge, who wasn't in top side. They're a bit worried about a TP and a potential play, so Abbedagge can't actually go towards the bottom side to try and save it.
There's the depth charge as well. Nature's Grass coming out. Sheo realizes the Bob's being caught out, gets rooted up. The TP coming in as Adam looks to join the fight. BDS advancing, Adam dashing forward to Peach. Peach no flash as he tries to get away. He's locked up, he's grounded. And we'll see him another day as he falls to Nuke. EXCEL now have to be cautious around the fact that this Baron could be a target for BDS. No jungler on the enemy team means that you can just call for it, especially with the Calibrum and Crescendum combination and a Cassio to boot. Patrik, root caller, kills the bot, the crit helps, and now Adam's hooked up. He's diving on towards Abbedagge, he'll flash away. Sheo going forward as well. Glacial Prism on Odoamne, but it's a battle on 2 fronts as Nuke and Adam keep Abbedagge in Limit at bay. In the end, the Baron stopped. BDS unable to get another kill, but EXCEL secure the life, or the health, or the death, I guess, of Labrov.
I thought the BDS would get a bit more, though, because I was looking at, like, they had every ultimate up apart from Labrov. They basically used nothing to pick off Peach, but just a split call on where they wanted to try and engage. Like, half them end up turning up towards the top side, in towards that blue buff, the other half is going bot, so a little bit of a missed opportunity here, I feel, where if they'd actually committed for someone who was a little bit squishy, they could have got it. Labrov, just unfortunate position. Patrik was in top side clearing out, but see here, like, you can actually go for the turn here. I think if you try and move on towards, you know, one target, you're going to be in a better spot, but Adam and Nuke are trying to play the bot side. You can't really get onto Abbedagge because of the range, and Patrik and Odo managed to move in behind each other, so Odo's standing in front, tanking everything up.
I think that's one of the major struggles for BDS in fights like this is Abbedagge has so much range, Patrik can play so safe, and when you have this beefy front line in front of them, it can become very tricky to actually get onto that back line. You have to kind of work your way through front to back, which is a tried and true style of League of Legends, but can be tricky when you have so much DPS coming out from the enemy team. Void Staff complete for Abbedagge. Odoamne has gone for the Sheo, the protein shake, as he's been lifting weights in the top lane on the Sion.
I do think coming into this though, EXCEL are just in such a good position regardless. Like the fact again, like you can kind of see that BDS do struggle in these team fights. We kind of pointed it out coming through from draft, but if you just end up moving your jungler to the bot side for no reason, that could be a very disastrous move.
Baron down to 6,000 HP. Abbedagge on his way. Peach still in mid lane. 3,000 now on it. Limit trying to go in. Adam trying to keep that front line alive. The Baron secured. Can BDS get out? Nature's Grass coming in from the side. A good double knocker as well with the depth charge. And already Crownie's down. Adam falls as well. 3 members of BDS able to walk out. Wounded. See their comrades fall, but still managed to survive and keep that Baron buff alive.
I mean, it's a nice attempt from BDS. They saw Peach moving down to the bottom side on that ward. They were like, look, let's try and go for this. We can make it happen. Unfortunately, though, they don't end up to get out. They lose a lot of damage on bot tower. They'll lose mid turret. They should lose Dragon Soul as well, as that is just about to spawn. And without Adam and Crownie, there's no real way to contest.
Yeah, smacks of desperation there from BDS, you have to feel. EXCEL now in prime position to secure the Ocean Soul, and that lasts a tad longer than the Baron, which will be down in 2 minutes' time. The only saving grace for BDS is that they denied the Soul and the Baron at the same time. But we'll have another look at this because it's exactly what you called. Peach was on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and they think, all right, we can try and burst this down. It is incredibly close, but it's basically a case of now, once this goes down, Adam sacrificed himself, but BDS need to make the call to get out. Like, everyone just flash over the wall, use whatever you can, but it's just not really in a position to go for it. But I think you kind of have to before that ultimate comes in from the Maokai. And if you manage to go 1 for 4, like, you actually are pretty happy with that about getting Baron, but losing 2 and then Soul just means that you're really not in the best of spots.
And EXCEL in prime position to start closing this one out. You can see Patrik and Odoamne teaming up in the mid lane. Adam's pushing bot, does have that TP. Where are we in terms of flashes? Well, Patrik does have his, but has no ultimate, and Limit, no flash on him either. Depth charge hits onto Crownie. Nature's Grass comes in from the side as well. Adam TPing in, but he is very separated from the rest of his team. Good news for him is it's only the Azir trying to work his way through him right now. Polymorph on Odoamne as Adam continues to go forward. Peach dodges away from the Glacial Prison there with a twisted advance. Adam having a dash away. Unstoppable Onslaught will lock up Adam, and he's gone to meet his maker. Alongside Eve, it seems BDS took the fight, but in the end, it's EXCEL taking heads.
Nicely done by Peach, dodging away from that ultimate and then managing to set up the team as well. And BDS, as you said, it feels like desperation, trying to see anything that they could pick, but with everyone locked up thanks to Peach's ultimate, there's very little follow-up from when Adam arrives.
It's just really well played by EXCEL. Their disengage working wonders. It's something we talked about a little bit in the draft. The fact that for BDS to get onto this backline is a very tricky affair. EXCEL in a commanding position now to continue to use Abbedagge in these side lanes. No TP on him, but he can clear these waves very quickly and has the relative safety of his own tower. Originally, Limit goes a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, it definitely does. Has the stopwatch though. Sheo forced to flash away. And here, Adam, like, I get the idea. It's like, oh, we can actually try and turn this, but the fact that he turns up towards the top side means that it's impossible for BDS to really follow him. And then as well, a lot of people being zoned away. Like, look at Nuke and Labrov, Patrik and Odo keeping these out of the fight. So it ends up in this sort of 3 versus 5 for a good portion of this, where the rest of BDS are able to follow through. You don't have the damage dealers in position, and Crownie's forced to walk away as the rest of his team is falling.
You can see Crownie Gale forcing forward, looking for those roots as well from the purple gun, but then has to burn the flash to get away from the charging Sion. EXCEL grouping up towards this top side. Odoamne is down in bottom lane, pushing in, has the teleport. Nature's Grass comes out, Adam blocks it, and BDS almost get everyone behind it. I think Labrov was just caught out a little bit by an edge of a grasping root, but Odoamne applying that second point of pressure. Mid lane as well can be pushed in here by EXCEL. Odo will be able to demolish this tower. Fells it like a lumberjack felling a tree. And as soon as he sees that BDS aren't on vision anymore, he backs away. He knows that he is the weak point of the composition at that time. Odoamne very experienced with being the weak side. And now EXCEL, after they see BDS's reactions, can just come back up here and take the tier 2. They are 5,000 gold ahead. There is an Elder Drake in 2.5 minutes. There's a Baron in 2 minutes as well if they want to wait that long. But in all honesty, if they just keep doing this, it looks like BDS don't have an answer.
And this is fantastic for EXCEL, a team that has to try and make it as far as possible, like 3rd place, to get themselves into the championship, season championship, to make sure they can actually get in towards the Worlds as well.
Specifically 3rd place at the end of playoffs. They can just sneak by into group stage if they want. Having already lost 3 games, unlikely they'll make it to the top of our table, but if they can get into playoffs and then get 3rd place, they have a chance of making it into our season finals, which is our 4 weeks at the end of our 3 splits that crown our eventual LEC champion.
And look, I don't think they're quite there yet. I think when we look at this team, there's still mistakes, right? Peach moving down towards that bottom side when Baron was up. Some of the synergy in the early stages aren't quite there, but you're starting to see that, you know, the wheels are turning. This is a team that is improving week on week, and if we end up getting them in towards groups and they start to make it then in towards playoffs, that's definitely going to give them enough time to start to work together, because right now, like, the lanes are actually going quite well for them.
It was only 3 wins that got you into the group stage in spring. Let's have a quick look at what EXCEL have got coming up. Looks like they have... Oh, Mad Lions, G2, and Astralis. So
nice easy ones.
Yeah, you know, tomorrow Mad Lions, maybe a bit of a tricky game, but we'll see how they can do. G2 obviously a little bit tricky next week as well, but Astralis perhaps point for their 3rd win.
No, they don't know the wards there.
Always sweep your wards. Patrik pots the Featherstorm, ult for ult in the end, but Sheo locked up. Nature's Guard's coming in. Oh, he's drifting. He's drifting. It's for family. He lands it and can't quite Tokyo drift his way in towards the back line. I heard Vin Diesel in my ear there. You know,
no, that's fair.
Family, guys.
Yeah, I was just, you know, going for Tokyo Drift in my head. That song was just going, but
I can't remember the song off the top of my head, and Sheo can't remember what it's like to be alive. Caught out once again. Sent packing to the fountain, and Baron up in 5 seconds time. Perfect timing for EXCEL. TP to the bot lane here. Counter TP coming out from Odoamne. BDS giving up the ghost on the Baron and looking to try and take an objective bounty where they can, but Odo's having none of that. Counter TP now again from Adam with Abbedagge. He just slides him away from it. Hey, mate! Not allowed down there today as Odoamne holds up to the tower. Baron secured for EXCEL, and with 30 seconds on the Elder, you have to feel it's all done, but the fat lady's singing, as EXCEL should be able to control vision around that area, secure the Elder, and then just walk it through the lanes.
And EXCEL are just reaping the benefits of their early setup. The fact that they managed to get Patrik ahead, get that early Kraken Slayer firm, Limit and Peach working with Abbedagge to find these early picks. And now, with Baron, with everything set up, I mean, they just position themselves in front of Elder. You have to be careful here as BDS as well, because there's not really much that you can do if you're going to be separated as you come in.
We will rock you as Odo looks to step forward to Sheo here. Nature's Grass coming out, and once again, BDS a little bit isolated. Sheo has to jump across the wall. Vision in the pit for BDS. Decimating Smash coming out from Odoamne. The hook from Limit lands onto the backline. Wild Growth going out from Labrov. Unstoppable onslaught from Odoamne as Labrov flashes away, and now BDS stepping forward once again. But look at the health bars in comparison. Labrov down to half HP. EXCEL still very healthy as Adam flashes forward and pulls back the Xayah. The shutdown comes out, and now BDS at a man advantage. They open up onto Odoamne. Petrifying gaze coming out from Newt. He's going to try and kill off Abbedagge, and they get another. And Crownie has all the time in the world to open up. Not the best guns for it, though. Purple-green is not a great combination as Peach flashes back forward. Peach will take Labrov, but he will pay for it with his life. And in the end, it's BDS who managed to win out the Elder fight.
It's Adam Diff. The fact that Adam managed to get that play onto Patrik, pull him back into the team. They stopped the flash from coming through as well. And just like that, Baron wiped off of EXCEL, and you get the Elder. They will lose mid-turf for it, but the amount of pressure you can make with this is insane. Great play from Adam here. Just flashes immediately on, and then gets the setback as well from Patrik. He doesn't have a chance to flash before the airborne comes through as well. BDS, massive team fight for them in that. Even the stun coming through in the back line onto Abbedagge, thanks to the Cassiopeia. I mean, hero plays by both solo laners in this fight.
And if it shows that BDS, if they do get onto the backline as the Elder helps out Peach just a tad there, if they do manage to kill off that backline, they can then work their way through the front line. The issue has been they've never been able to get there. You can see the damage that Abbedagge was able to put out, even though he was locked up for the majority of the fight. You have to kill him off quick if you're BDS. EXCEL, though, will be licking their wounds a little bit here, you have to feel. The Elder remains on BDS for a minute and a half. And BDS can start to try and take a few of these prizes around the map. However, you have to think that if EXCEL can just delay, just not lose in this next minute and a half, they're still in prime position to win this game. They are still a couple of thousand gold ahead. They still have a 3-item AD carry. They still have this composition that's worked so well in 5v5s thus far. They just need to slow down this push from BDS.
You are starting to get Crownie into a pretty terrifying spot, though. He picked up a lot of gold in that last one, nearly working up towards his 4th item, especially with the fact you've got bounties here. Crownie should be able to reset and get it for himself. Adam going to have push in mid. Like, there's a lot of standing gold that's still here for BDS, and you can see it reflected at the top of the screen as well. Like, the gold difference isn't really there anymore. The only big one we see is in that jungle.
Well, as the Elder continues to tick away, BDS will continue to try and push in, but 2 of their inhibitors are without turrets to defend them. And Nexus could be lane bare at any moment, and I think a problem for BDS is their range in these sorts of pushes. You don't have the longest range composition, but you can look for the engage. Diving forward onto Limit here, who tries to hook himself away, gets another hook and takes, just healed, no! Takes over to the poison, and Nuke with Cyanide takes the life of Limit. Nuke now stepping in once again. Peach slowly being worked away at. Elder about to fall off in 5 seconds time though, and I have to feel that, let me just have a look. Yeah, a lot of gold sitting in the pockets of BDS. 2k on Crownie. You want to go back, you want to spend that, take everything you can from the jungle first, but then get your next items. Probably a Guardian Angel for Crownie is the expectation here.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact of if he managed to get caught out with like Nautilus and these kind of things, he has a second lease of life, but
yeah,
this is
yeah. Oh, they saw Abbedagge, then they went in.
Immediately they turn on to Limit. And this is something that BDS have been really good at when they do get control of games. Even though it's been a bit of a rough split for them thus far, they've managed to very quickly turn it into get vision, make plays around that vision, and the second they spot Abbedagge, they're able to make that pick onto Limit. Now still they should have push, and the main thing for BDS right now is keep EXCEL at bay, keep them pushed in, so then you can look for things like Baron that's in a minute time. They have no real control over the mid priority though at the moment, and that should fall to EXCEL, which is going to make them contesting this topside vision control way more difficult. And you can even see EXCEL know that. TP coming through from Odo just to make sure they can keep control of this mid lane and start to drift that vision then into the top side of the map as well.
EXCEL pushing through mid right now. Limit on a ward will be spotted. Adam is tanking up as much as he can. Abyssal Mask on him. Double Abyssal Masks, in fact, from Sheo and Adam. I know the Azir is a problem, but they also buff up the damage coming out from Nuke, which is always a bonus. Cosmic Drive, Seraph's Rod of Ages, and the Rylai's for him, alongside an Oblivion Orb. Just trying to reduce some of that healing. Not always the most effective item, but in some positions can be good. It was Bloodthirster for Crownie instead of the Guardian Angel. I guess he thinks, well, if I'm dead, then we're all dead anyway. Better to try and survive. Keep myself at high HP. Decimating Smash from Odo. Baron up now. It will spawn.
No real control for BDS over the waves. This is going to make it very difficult. EXCEL immediately going to start up Baron. What can BDS do?
It's already down to 7,000 HP. Nature's Scar's coming out. Mikhail's used on Sheo, so he can get into the pit. Miasma goes down onto Odoamne, but a good hit from Limit will catch out. Nuke and Frankie is coming out as well, but the roots from the Blade call up, and Patrik absolutely shred through BDS. And they've already got the Baron, have EXCEL, and they've got another kill to boot. Crownie, Adam on the bot, running for the hill. Sheo just basing in front of where the Baron fell. But EXCEL, 4 members strong, are looking for the win.
Great fight for EXCEL. They position themselves right at the choke point, so perfect for Xayah, perfect for the soldiers from Abbedagge, and they rinse through the front line of BDS, and now they want to try and do the same on the base.
It's going to be at least double inhib. EXCEL with 2 waves pushing in could look for the close. No unstoppable onslaught, no Nature's Grasp though makes it a little tricky for them to really push BDS away from defending their towers, and I think EXCEL realized that. Not having those ultimates just makes it hard for you to close in on those Nexus towers. Only Azir really a longer range champion of either of these compositions, both of them relatively short range. Elder up in 30 seconds though, and EXCEL, 5 players strong, will start to push towards it.
Yeah, you can see here, like, where EXCEL chose to fight was absolutely beautiful. Abbedagge and Patrik start to come across, and once you start to move into this choke, it's really difficult. The Sand Soldier's getting a ton of damage over the back line, and then Limit managing to get this hook, but it's perfect for Patrik. bunch of feathers down, manages to catch Nuke in that as well. Adam gets torn a shred. Sheo had gone into the pit as well to try and make things happen. So now there's just no front line at all for Crownie, so he's got to run for the hills.
Yeah, Sheo and Crownie were actually just trying to do the banner over the wall as Peach was backing away to try and defend his team. Peach then went back in. It was a 50-50. The smite went over to EXCEL, and perhaps with it, they have hope now in closing out this game. Abbedagge is going to shuffle Adam away. TP available for the top lane and the mid laner of EXCEL. Adam can join this fight. Elder down to 7,000. Sheo's already lost one smite fight before. Glacial Prism going down in the smite from Peach. He flashes in, he secures it, and it's all done. You have to feel the lasers of death start to find their marks. Crownie dashing away. He can survive. They don't care. There are super minions in the base as EXCEL will look to tie up the amount of wins that they had in spring. We're only halfway through week 2 and they're going to make it 2 again. And perhaps it's signs of life for EXCEL in their hunt to make it to the season finals.
It's been a while since we've been able to celebrate EXCEL, but it feels good as Patrik is going to take down the Nexus turrets and EXCEL managing to take down BDS and bring themselves one step closer on that path.
The luck of Boaster continues, winning today in Valorant. Used to be the social media content manager for EXCEL, started the EXCEL Esports ba-la-la-la-la chant. It seems like it's just a good day for EXCEL today as the win comes through. BDS falling to 2 and 3, EXCEL getting up to 2 and 3, and I feel that battle at the bottom is just going to get spicier over the next few days, Dagda.
Yeah, especially when you're already looking, as you said, like the 2 wins now picked up for EXCEL means that is just crazy because we've had now 4 teams still on 1 and 3. You're going to be looking now as well as at EXCEL, or sorry, not EXCEL, at BDS, we're going to be sliding down even further as well because they're now 2 and 3. So any wins that come through from Vitality, SK, Koi, Astralis now are going to send them tying up as well. So it suddenly becomes very interesting to see exactly how that's going to work at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, it really does. And of course, we only have 4 days left for these teams after today, right? Like everything is very rapid here in the LEC. And it is possibly your last chance of making it to Worlds. You have to make it to season finals. If you're going to make it to Worlds, you have to have enough championship points. And for teams like EXCEL, you really need to be near the top of the table. BDS obviously have a few from getting 2nd place in spring. Your player of the game votes on Twitter. You can go to @LEC and vote for Abbedagge, Patrik, or Limit. I think Limit's hooks were actually really on point. I think Peach actually had a really good game as well. Like his positioning, winning 2 50-50 smites, you've got to give him credit overall. Especially since we kind of highlighted him over the first few games as a relatively inactive jungler, someone that really wasn't having as much impact as perhaps we'd like to see.
And I think especially when you look both at, it's the mid-jungle support for me that's stepping up massively. Abbedagge I want to give credit to as well, because it feels like a lot of the times, both in this game and the games we saw yesterday, it was the Azir moving in, sweeping in, getting that Emperor's Divide, and then setting up for Limit and for Peach, who are already in a position to follow up on that. So it definitely feels like the communication from this team is far more on point, and I'm only expecting it to get better as Peach gets more comfortable.
Yeah, you have to expect that's what will happen. And you see Trouble is getting ready for an interview, but I'm not sure who it's with. Odo is looking tentatively in our direction. Oh, he's going to get quizzed again. Is he happy with this? Who knows? He always looks a little bit like he's kind of shocked to be here, but also, you know, look like, oh, really?
You think he'd be used to it at this stage with how many years he's been around here, but like, I
mean, one of our more experienced players, but still very much in the prime of his life, I have to feel, Odoamne. Especially with his performances last year. Like, it's so often you looked at him and he's like, he's the guy. Like, but he was, and even yesterday on Cassante.
But I think that's the sick thing about Odo is that he's not only a very good player, it's that he's got that years of veterancy, that he's now bringing that experience to a team like EXCEL as well. And you can see it in his performance yesterday and now in the sign here today as well.
Had a great performance today, and yesterday we're going to hand it over to Trouble, who is standing by with Odo.
Thank you very much, Medic. Odo, congratulations to a weekend so far on the 2nd week. How does it feel?
I mean, am I going to get interviewed every day now? Or
yes.
How is this going to go? I mean...
For every win EXCEL gets, you get interviewed.
Yeah, I mean, we take those, I guess. But what was your question? Because I was stuck in my meme a little bit.
How do you feel after a 2-0 weekend already?
Oh, I mean... the game was really clean, and then my superstar backline decides to just grief at Elder, and then my superstar jungler flips the Nashor and he wins it, and then he flips the Drake and he wins it. So
should you just let him flip?
I mean, I'd rather not flip at all, you know. But I mean, a win's a win. I'm happy they can press their buttons well. I mean, at least my jungler, because my backline kind of griefed at that Elder, you know.
So thank you, Peach, for flipping the 50-50 and getting the smite correct.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Odo with a 2-0 now. I asked about the momentum yesterday, and I've asked a lot of players, and they said, you know what, we're just going to go back to a clean, slow game. You guys played a pretty clean, slow game. Is that what the meta is evolving into? Are we going to see Corki soon?
I mean, honestly, the only reason there's no Corki in the meta is because this package is at 10 minutes instead of 8. Otherwise, he would be terrorizing the Rift so much. So thanks, Riot Games, for that. Yeah, I think it's also kind of the way the meta is right now. With control mages and all of this stuff, you kind of need to blind safe tops and all of this. It kind of devolves into this battle of bot lanes, because I feel like whichever bot lane is ahead will end up taking over the game. And I think, I mean, I don't know if I like it. It's okay. Would love to not be dog duty all the time, but it's like fine. At least we win now. Before, not so much. But I mean, it feels okay. At least there's like fights around Drake and stuff. People don't give it up for free.
Which you can participate in?
Huh?
Which you can participate in?
Oh yeah, I mean, thank God there's like TPs at 10 minutes, so I can I cannot be stuck under my lane and just watch the Cassante who randomly TPs bot and gets 2 kills, kind of like beat the life out of me in lane, you know, for 5 more minutes.
Yeah, and talking about the Cassantes and the mid shields, how much do you think that top lane influences the map currently? Because yeah, okay, changing the TP from 14 to 10 minutes is a little bit more impactful in these fights, but other than being a mid shield, what do you guys offer in the top lane?
I mean, some top lanes are still taking the bait of TPing, you know, right at 9 minutes or around 10 minutes, and then they don't have it for the rest of the map. Because, for example, Adam TP'd at like, I think, 11 minutes on top, and he got a plate. And a lot of time, you will get to see this trade where people take the gold from the plate. They usually take a plate or 2. But I think, for example, the top laner that keeps his TP gets to kind of passively influence bot, because bot lane is always going to be like, oh, we can't fight because he has TP, you know? But I think it opens up a lot of interesting things, because right now you see a lot of time at 10 minutes, supports are sweeping their lane, everyone's super paranoid of the TP threat. So it's a good change. I mean, we get to play the game a little bit more now.
They have to remember what it felt like when it didn't have a limit on when you could teleport bot lane. Odo, congratulations again on the 2-0. Good luck for tomorrow as well. And we're going to throw it over to Frankie for the post-match breakdown.
Thank you very much. I'm joined by Guldborg and Limit for this one. And first of all, we're going to take a look at the draft, because this was the interesting thing we found out yesterday. BDS, they realized, yes, we can definitely win and we can prioritize qualifying for the group stage if we play what works for us, if we play the style that got us to the finals in spring. And you guys went, we can play that too. Was it always going to be the game plan to try and beat BDS at their own game?
I mean, yeah, I think BDS as a team, you kind of know what they're going to do. Like, their run towards the finals, you just saw they had like really good objective control, dragon control, always like both stable picks. They knew what they're gonna play, so that's also good for us, because prep was very streamlined. We pretty much guessed everything that we thought they're gonna pick, thanks to our coaching staff, right? Yeah, we also thought that our objective control is good, and if we have better champions for it, and get the objectives before them, we might like put them out of the comfort zone.
And I don't know if this is like a crazy statement to make as well, but it feels like, at least because it's been 2 games in a row now, we finally see it. You guys are finding kind of comfort style as well with this kind of, like, at least the composition you have now. Yesterday was a Cassandra top instead of Sion, but it's still that I see in the mid lane. It's still that, you know, any AD carry is the same nowadays, pretty much. But like this engaged, this late game team fighting Maokai, is this also you guys becoming a little bit more one-dimensional because you have to figure out how to play other aspects of the game as well? Or
I mean, for sure it's easier when you can just have like a easier draft, right? Obviously, our draft is more stage, you know. There's Azir, who's always been a very good stage champion. We got Maokai today, which we weren't really expecting, but Maokai, we were happy with that. And yeah, we just went with a more stage draft so we can focus on things that we're actually a problem for us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is this the style you're playing in scrims? Because we hear you're destroying.
Oh yeah, league it all.
I mean, kinda, yeah, pretty much. I mean, we were sad after the first FLICKR 0-3 because scrims were going decently well. I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah.
But we tend to try to practice the champions that we're gonna play, obviously, right? Otherwise, scrims don't really make much sense, do they?
Maybe that's what's happening with Mad Lion scrims, because apparently they're not winning any of them. Right, let's talk about the game in more detail. It's like I'm allowed to meme on Mad Lions. They're 4-0 right now. That's going to be a great game. Match 5, Fnatic versus Mad Lions. But we've got to talk about EXCEL versus BDS, because this is a key win condition for BDS. It's always prioritizing those initial early dragons, but you beat them to the punch. So I think we can take another look at that. So talk us through setting up for this first dragon.
I think Abel was calling here that either Cassio, she needs to base. We had Peach close to us, but we tried to start a fight because obviously we have Peach close to us. He has Maokai ult, which is a very nice spell to have. Then we see Aphelios is obviously very low, he cannot fight, and it's just very simple, very direct.
It's that, right? It just feels very simple. We cut out the bot lane dive, so you don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, we forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. But I was actually really impressed with EXCEL's early game in general. I thought Peach was super solid on the Maokai and was actually quite had an advantage against Sheo, like taking the Raptors again and again, getting just pretty much automatic leads through jungling alone and pathing, but also just the laners themselves. You had to see it pretty much always the mid lane priority. You had the playmaking potential that gained the bot lane priority, and it was so easy from this point in the game. They just kept stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And throughout this, you just think to yourself, they're easily going to win this game. It's going to be a clean game. It's objective stacking, everything in working in their favor. There is no way that they can screw this up. And
then we did. Again.
So talk to us about this, because first of all, I have to say, Adam was insane. I'm sorry, he did really well here, but what happened in this fight, Limit?
True. I mean, Patrik got cassanted, as they call it. I mean, I think we can also make the job for Patrik way easier. It's kind of weird that Cassante can just fly through the 3 meaty boys. It's me, Odo, and Peach so easily. So that's something to review on later on, of course. But yep. Honestly, I was a bit stressed in this situation because we kind of lost the game like this last week.
Yeah.
So I was getting a bit tense, but I think this time we actually played better at least.
So what was the difference maker from week 1 to week 2? Because Odo was telling Trouble yesterday that those games last week were winnable. So why do you think this time round you're actually able to come back from those pressure situations you find yourself in?
Well, we reviewed the games, obviously, right? I mean, it sucks to lose a situation like that against SK, where you just have everything to win, and then we kind of agreed that if we just sit for 30 seconds, we would just win the game. So it was more of focusing on objectives, the things that are going to win you the game, because situations like this are kind of hard to get in scrims.
For sure.
You know? That's why it's a bit harder to practice, and that's why everyone gets so tense and stressed when, 30, 40-minute Elder comes in, and you're like, oh, do we do this, do we do that? But we just talked about it, like, imagine the situation as well as we could, and yeah.
I mean, it's so hard as well because, and I mean no ill by this, but when you are a struggling team as well, there's so many things you know you have to get right. So even just getting to that point at times can be hard. And then even going into the situation where you have to practice that, oh, we have the Nashor set up every single time as well. Now let's practice how we actually do the dance around the bigger objectives towards the late game. But, you know, flipping and flopping, it kind of worked out in the end. Like, you know, it's a 50-50 for a reason, right? So you lost it the first time, you get it the second time, and I can imagine a sigh of relief after that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, the moment I saw the Elder pop up on my screen, I'm like, okay, we're just gonna steamroll them, right? I mean, prior to this, we were discussing, do we want to TP in their base? Do we, like me and Odo, do we stop the bases as our carries try to end the game? Then we just came to a 5-5 flip, which is we're not proud of. But yeah, sometimes.
You're here though, you've won.
Yeah.
And Odo in the interview was throwing you guys a bit under the bus. He was saying you guys are very willing to flip, but you're telling me he was part of flipping. How much of this is a team effort? Were you all in on it?
Hey man, we were all in it together, right?
Yeah.
It's just miming it, of course.
Yeah.
Right. When sometimes when you're in a situation like us, you know, when you're the only 0-3 team in the first week, you kind of have to have some luck.
Well, almost a 3-0 soon if you can continue it, but
yeah, hopefully didn't jinx.
And while we've got you, let's not talk about jinxing, let's talk about Peach. Because last week we definitely saw some teething issues. I mean, it must be very difficult having to integrate a new jungler into your team when there is so much on the line. What's happened between week 1 and week 2? Because I think actually today was the best we've seen Peach so far. Definitely the most impactful in the early game we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, Peach is a funny guy. I love him, you know, he's learning English. He's talking to us so much. What we try to do compared from week 1 to week 2, we noticed that we kind of took too much comms from him.
Yeah.
We were like talking too much, and then obviously when it gets hectic, maybe some things he doesn't even understand, you know. So try to give him a bit more responsibility and a voice on what he wants to do in the game, how he wants to approach the game. And yeah, it didn't disappoint so far.
I think Peach is such an interesting jungler because when I was watching him at the Masters, like he was good, but it also seemed like there was times where it would have been better if he skipped camps and then went up a good win for top lane again, because he quite often had an Aurelia and he was playing Sejuani and he was playing Sejuani full clearing, and I was like, what is happening on my screen right now? But coming into this week, I feel like everything kind of just worked out. But I'm curious to see how long it's going to work out as well, because in the Team Heretics game, he full cleared on Maokai and got a first blood on Evie, and I feel like that was kind of on Evie for dying to that one. And then in this game as well, though, I feel like really bold with the level 1 strategy, because it was literally just solo invade on Raptors almost, flip it, if I get it, great, and now I have the jungle advantage. But he kept it up. He was there for the Raptors on respawn, and by the time he got to the first, second Drake, he had a level on Sheo in this game, and like it was always great with the saplings there. I feel like Maokai is such a good champion for him because he gets so much intel to play around with, and obviously the game is a bit easier now that you have jungle camps on the minimap just spawning with all the red sides. You can be like, oh, it's spawning now, I can just go there, where it was a bit harder back in the day. But Peach is utilizing it, everything together, and it's working right now when teams are also letting it. I'm just curious to see how far that can actually translate when people start getting more, well, downloading his data a bit more. Do you think you can do it again tomorrow? Have a 3-0 week? Tomorrow
against Milan, I mean, it will be very nice, right? From 0-3 to 3-3. I mean, we said at the start that we're just going to take it game by day. I mean, day by day, right? It would be very nice to take the 3-0, and I think it would be the most wins EXCEL got this year. So yeah, I'm sure everyone at EXCEL also would be happy, but we'll be happy. So yeah, we'll just try our best. Well, we'll be happy too, because we love an underdog story, and we like to get on that lower bracket miracle run. Not that there's a bracket, but that's the phrase that I'm saying. And so that's what I'm sticking with as we head into the break, because on the other side of this, we're going to have Astralis versus Vitality. One of these teams is guaranteed a win in week 2, but who's it going to be?
Counter boot coming out as Patrik looks for the damage. Limit's gonna pull it. Volt's gonna survive ahead of him. Goes all out onto Patrik. Patrik still has the flash, but dashes into the wall.
I don't have a ward inside.
It's 7k, it's fine, it's fine. 7k. I think play for 5, play for 5, play for 5. Just play for 5. Yeah, play for 5.
I'm ulting them.
Aphelios?
They're stuck in the pit. Aphelios is dead. Goes to Coxante.
EXCEL still very healthy as Adam flashes forward and pulls back the Xayah.
We got it.
Oh, good flip, guys. Good flip.
Oh my god.
Going. Good flip.
Okay. Go and land.
Bro, you guys are mega flippers. What the f is that?